Hello and welcome back. So in this point, I would actually want us to use the XLOOKUP function so that we can see how we will return multiple columns. So down here, you will actually see that I have the first name, the last name, age, role, starting salary, and the current salary. So I have the name for the employee to be equivalent to Simon, and I would actually want to return all these other columns for this employee. So the first name is actually equivalent to Simon. Now I would actually want to return all these other 5 columns. That's this column here, plus this one, plus this one, plus this one, plus this one, by just using one formula. So how do we actually go about that? So we have to use the XLOOKUP function. So that's all. Before we actually continue, I would actually urge you to follow. So before we actually continue, I would actually urge you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also get to this point here and follow me on my X account. So let's actually build one of the largest data analysis platforms, and that's it. Now let's actually go into writing our very first. So let's now go into writing our own formula so that we can obtain all these other columns here. So this is what we actually call returning multiple columns, or what we actually call the spill range. So it's equivalent to XLOOKUP like that, then open. Lookup value is actually H22, and that lookup value H22 for the first name is actually inside this first name column like that. That's the first name array, H12 to H20, comma, it will ask you the return array. So which columns do you actually want to return? I would actually want to return from the last name all the way to the current salary. So from the last name all the way to the current salary, just like that, and you close it. So nothing much. So this is basically what you call the lookup value, which is actually Simon. Yes, and this is what you call the lookup array. So where we actually do have the first names. So from H12 all the way to H20, and I12 to M20 is what you call the return array. Those are the columns which I would actually want to return. So that's it. Hit enter on the keyboard. Now you can actually check that the first name is actually equivalent to Simon. The second name is equivalent to Martin. Yes, that name. Second name is equivalent to Martin. The age is 56. The role is manager. The starting salary is actually $5,000 US. And the current salary is actually equivalent to $6,500 US. So how about if we enter the next name to be equivalent to James? So what will actually happen? So before we actually proceed, let's actually get to this point here. So inside this point here, I would actually be accepting the projects from your side. So you get me the projects, and I'll actually do them for you. So in this point for the projects, we have the monthly subscription. So I can actually do for you the work every month, and that's actually $550 a month. So these are the kinds of tasks that I'll actually be doing for you. So everything basically. Then on this point too, we actually do have the one-time task. Let's say, for example, the dashboard designing, the analysis, the smart macros, the Power BI reports. So that's all. And on this other end too, you'll actually realize that I design and maintain the templates for you. So I can design the template and maintain for you every month at $50. So apart from that, you can also do the one-time task. For example, getting me the work to customize for you a template. Let's say, for example, the personal finance template, inventory templates, the HR templates, the sales performance templates, and many more. So that's all. On this end here, I will actually be getting you access to my Google Drive so that you can actually learn all about Excel. You can actually check that I have about 20 courses on Microsoft Excel. So I can actually get you or grant you the access into my Google Drive account so that you can actually learn more about Excel to master it. So my site is actually on some updates, and it will actually be back very soon. So before it's actually back, you can actually enjoy these services or enjoy the discount of just $100 of accessing the Google Drive content. Then when the site is actually back, you won't actually lose the access. Now imagine getting all this for $100 when the actual deal is actually equivalent to $945. So that's one of the biggest deals here. So to actually reach me out for the templates, for the projects, and for the courses, this is actually my email. So reach me out so that you can actually communicate and do business. On this other end here, now suppose we actually have the name to be James there. So the moment I actually hit enter on the keyboard, you'll actually realize that I have nothing spilling here. So what do we actually do? So I can just double click on this point here like that, and you'll actually check that this one will actually be the lookup value, which will actually be H, and it's actually H23. So it will be shifting from H22 to H23. So I do not actually have to lock that 22. Let's say, for example, we can just lock that H because it will be consistent. So just press F4 on the keyboard to actually lock that H alone. So we are locking that H because we are still on column H only. So from H22 to H23, you can actually check that H is constant. So you lock that H. You lock that H. So you do not lock 22 because it will be changing from 22 to 23. And on this other end, the lookup array has to be constant because we are actually referring to this table in all our cases or in all our first names. So select all this like that, even inclusive of the return array. Select all of them like that. Then you just press F4 on the keyboard. So H12 has been locked. That's the column and the row, column and the row, column and the row, column and the row. Just like that. Hit enter on the keyboard, and that's it. Now what actually remains is for me to actually select all these spilled ranges like that. Then on this other end here, on the bottom right, we have that plus. So drag it downwards just like that, and it will be done. So James here is Gabriel. The age is 45. The role is PA. The role is P assistant. The starting salary is actually $1,900 and the current salary is actually $2,470. So that's all. Now at the moment you actually add another name, let's say for example David, just like that. So because our formula is actually okay, at this point we have already locked the cells which are supposed to be locked. So you can just drag from this point like that, and that's all. So David Rodriguez, the age is actually 51. The role is actually accountant. The starting salary is actually $2,000 and the current salary is actually $2,600. And the last one can actually be, let's say for example, the last one is Jose, just like that. Hit enter on the keyboard. So you can actually select just those cells like that, then drag downwards, and that's all. So Pinto is actually the last name. Yes, Pinto. The age is actually 28. The role is actually sales representative. The starting salary is actually $2,200 and the current salary is actually $2,860. So you can just format these ones here so that you can have the US dollar formatting. That's for the currency. So just pick on one of the cells there, get to home tab, then copy, then you have what you call the format painter. Then select these cells like that, and that's all. So let's actually meet in the next video. Thanks for watching.